This is the weekly VOLTHA TST meeting, and we're recording the meeting for posterity. So let's see, for the agenda items today, we've got VOLTHA ticket number 4766, which was implementing the VOLTHA control command to show ONU and OMCI counter statistics. Sakant had offered to code up the patch for this. I don't see him online. I guess we'll have to wait and get a status on that.
Yeah, we merged, so I can say it's done. But one problem is that we didn't have the +2. So you made the merge, I believe.
Okay. Could you clarify what the last two pieces were?
Pieces? What
Yeah.
do you mean?
You said there were the last two. Did you just mean the last two patches were merged, or what was the context for the last two?
No, he meant +2.
Okay. I'm with you now.
Sakant, I suppose you meant that nobody had the rights to merge in world control, right?
Correct. Yeah, correct.
What do you think, Joey? Should someone of the TST members should get the rights to merge also in world control?
I think so. Why not?
Let's see. Well, I can talk to him. Access. Yeah, seems like they should have access to do that. Okay.
So the weird thing is I got +2, but when I press the +2 button, the patch didn't merge automatically. So I didn't understand.
I think you have
actually it will not merge with the +2. I also gave a +2, and normally then the status of the patch is changing to that it can be submitted, but that was not the case in my case. So I had the right to give +2, but I hadn't had the right to submit the patch or to merge the patch.
Yeah.
Okay. I was going to say, generally, when I've done it, it seems to be two independent operations. You first grant the 2+2 access on the patch, and then I normally get a separate submit button to perform the merge action and submit Jenkins.
So it seems that we have the +2 right, but not the submit right. Exactly.
Submit. If you're not seeing the submit button, it sounds like that you probably need access to do the merges then as well. Okay, I'll check on that too. Okay, so I take it this item is all set, and we can, it's okay to take this off the agenda now?
Yes.
If it's all, okay, good. Okay, so the next one's VOLTHA 4746. The OLT app is removing flows based on latest status entries. And let's see, Garish and Gustavo and Torsten had a discussion about this in Slack earlier. Let me see, Torsten tested the patch, and sorry, you guys can chime in if you want.
Actually, I think that this item about like discussion is related to the item below test pipeline. So actually, the last update for the flows issue Just let me take a look at the item. Let me read it again.
Sure.
Oh yeah. So about this subject, Vol 4746. The last update is that there is a change on Garrett, which is still pending review. And we found that we needed auto test to check for regression. And then I created a ticket, but I'm not sure if somebody actually did write the test. So I guess it's still missing to write the test. And the Slack discussion item, I believe it's related to the item below, test pipeline.
Okay. Before we jump into that, there was the version file, I guess, needed to be bumped as part of the submission to get the full patch in. Is that still pending as well?
I believe it's already done. Let me take a look here.
Okay.
But, Thorsten said to me that the newest OLT app is still missing in ONOS. Could
Yes,
it be?
That's right. That's right. So yeah, and here's the problem. To get the new OLT app on ONOS image, we have to submit a patch to VOLTHA ONOS repository, which is the component that bounds the apps to ONOS image. And we have a problem here because it needs, like the app, the ONOS app needs to be in the Maven central repository. And otherwise, VOLTHA ONOS can't reference the new version. And the problem we ran into is that it's not there. The new app version is not inside the Maven central repository. And we still don't know how to do it. Girish and I, we assume that it will happen automatically once we merged the last OLT app version, but it did not happen. So I think we need to find out how to do it.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm not familiar with ONOS app releases, so I assume that it would be pushed to Maven repository post merge, but it didn't happen. So I tagged Andrea, but I don't think he's looking at Slack messages. So he's at Intel, so I'll ping him. I'll have a chat with him and try to figure out what's the process to push these apps to Maven repository, and then we can figure out. Once that is done, I think then we should, increment the version on VOLTHA ONOS repo so that it picks up the app again. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Girish, you will keep us up to date when you were able to check with Andrea.
Yeah, I'll have a chat.
Thank you.
Okay. So the test pipelines. Let me see. So Mahir spoke with Andrea, and we were able to get a list of the directories we need, the tests we need to run for regression testing. I've got to get those into the document those somewhere. But once the image is available, we can, I can go in and kick off the regression tests for them. That's not a big deal anymore. Is there any thoughts and comments on that before we move on, or? Okay.
Just one question on that. Sorry,
Mhm.
I
Yep.
missed the last TST as well. So these are regression tests specifically for the app, or this is like running the entire workflows?
That's not, I'm not sure because I haven't dug into the tests, but these are the ones that Andrea gave to Mahir to run for the regression. I think he did talk to them about the specific stuff.
Okay, thanks.
Let's see. So the VOLTHA can't talk today. The VOLTHA Go controller. We've had quite a few patches going in for this.
Okay, so yeah, so the last update, I mean, this topic doesn't seem to be directly related to VOLTHA Go controller. I think we are shifting the telecom tests from some of the servers at Santa Clara site to Berlin port.
Mhm.
So I submitted a few configuration changes to port configs, VOLTHA system tests, and CA management to start this job on Berlin port. So last day when I checked yesterday, so I did notice some of the configuration files needed some more changes. Yeah, I mean that's how it normally is. I mean, we submit some changes only once the test runs. We identify problems in configurations. So I submitted some fixes. So I'll keep a watch on that, to see how it goes today.
Good. Okay, I'll take this other one out then, so it's not confusing. Okay, so. Okay, so the next item was an issue reported by Daniel. This was a discussion about VOLTHA control, and I think it was about, what was it? Deleting entries or removing entries, and there was a notification that had to be sent out to the other devices. I think there was an error in there, but there was a discussion about not propagating the error. Let me see. So is Daniel on? If he has any status updates for this one?
Yeah. So actually, Daniel won't work with us anymore. So next week, I guess me or another developer from Furukawa will take over, and then we will have new updates for that.
Okay. So the next one was for VOLTHA 4788, incorporating Prometheus counters in VOLTHA. This I think was Amit's
Yes,
ticket.
I added this because I thought it might be good to have a small discussion on this. I submitted this patch and was seeking comments. I got some comments, but just wanted to share what the idea was or is, right? So basically what we are trying to do is integrate Prometheus into the VOLTHA stack. So yeah, so if you could open the file stats.go. So pkg stats.go.
Just
About
spacing
not in the
right.
vendor.
Is it
Yeah.
this? Okay.
Yeah.
Spacing right over it.
Yeah, so yeah, so here you could see that I have tried to add a few sample counters and time-based metrics to show what kind of things we would want to do. So if you look at the top in this constants, yeah, so for example, right, if we want to count the number of ONUs that got activated at a particular OLT, or the number of ONUs that were discovered, or in some specific cases like which are not device related, right? The number of times errors were encountered were writing to the bus, or number of times RPC errors were encountered while communicating from the adapter to the core or core to the adapter. So we could create or we could publish these counters to a Prometheus endpoint, which the library would take care of. And then if there is a Prometheus running, it could grab those values and make it available for the operator to analyze what is happening with the services, right? So if you go back and go to the file called, I think it should be manager.go, pkg stats manager.go. And here you should be able to find if you come down. So yeah, so I call that as a stats manager. And you have a few APIs on that or function calls on that, wherein you start the manager providing a collector name. The collector name effectively is whether it's the OLT adapter or the ONU adapter or the vCore, which is integrating this package, right? And then you have a few APIs saying that, okay, if it's device specific, then you say, okay, count this particular counter name for this device. So you provide the ID and the string. Or if you want to increment a value to a counter, you have another option called add for device. So those two are for counters. Similarly, if you want to measure time duration, right? So I have some samples or some examples, let's put it that way, for duration metrics, right? So for example, how much time does it take to process a discovery indication, right? So if we want to measure that, right? So we would use collect duration for device, provide the device ID and the serial number and the name of the specific metric we are trying to count or measure, and then the start time. So effectively, the idea is that we try to peek inside what is happening within the OLT and ONU services, or OLT adapter, ONU adapter, and the vCore, which would help us in figuring out more at a production level, right? How the services are behaving, which what kind of or how much of what kind of errors are happening, what procs are taking too much of time. So that's left to us, right, to decide what and all we want to count. So I just started this with some example counters and duration metrics that came to my mind quickly. And I'm seeking inputs as to what else do we want to add in there. So I also have a README file there, which should tell us how we could integrate stats readme.md. So this gives an example of the Helm chart configuration that we would want to do so that Prometheus can start collecting from the endpoint that this library would be exposing. So I don't know, I went pretty fast. Any thoughts, comments? So anyways, I request everyone to go through the patch set at their own pace and provide more granular comments. But just as a thought, does the group have any questions, suggestions, comments?
The only concern I have, Amit, is so in SIBA normally we push some metrics, especially for devices, to the Kafka bus, and a collector normalizes that that statistics and push or whichever system wants to collect those counters, it gets them from the collector via the collector. So we are, it seems that we are just introducing a new path for statistics. I understand these are different kind of statistics, but just a concern. So what do you think?
Yes, so effectively what you said, right? These are different kind of statistics. So the metrics that we collect through Volta and through the event-based framework, they are the PM performance management metrics,
Yeah.
right? And typically they are collected at, typically most operators would do it at like 15-minute intervals, right? But what we are looking for here is definitely much more granular and looking at the service level statistics, nothing to do with PON, right? We are looking at what the adapters are doing, what the vCore is doing,
Correct,
right?
yes.
Yes. So I think the audience itself for the two statistics are different, right? And the use of that statistics is also different. And definitely we cannot collect the service KPIs, right? Using such a high granular or such a high resolution timer, right? 15 minutes. If even if it's in minutes, I think that's too high.
Okay, makes sense actually. So I also commented about that if we can use this Volta libgo with other containers, other modules in the
Yeah.
CBA. But
Yeah.
you said it's gonna be complicated, right? If we take that path.
Yeah, so I did respond to your comment, and initially I thought that maybe we just have the library and don't put a constraint on, okay, which are the collectors which could use it. See, even though we are checking for a collector name, right? Somebody else could say, okay, I am collector, I am the OLT adapter, and could register and still use it. The basic idea or the thought process behind that is that I think if we have all these counters in one place, right, it helps in the manageability of or in the usability rather of these counters. And the experience that I am talking about is typically coming from the way the event framework is working as of today, right? So if you want to look into, okay, let's say someone wants to figure out, okay, what are the attributes in the ONU discovery event, right? There's no other way rather than going through the OpenOLT adapter code, which becomes cumbersome at some point of time. So if you are a developer who has worked in that piece, then yes, you could figure it out quickly. Else you have to dig into the code and to figure out, it becomes challenging. So that's why I thought that maybe we at least start off with this way. And then if you say that, no, okay, this is tying down our hands too much. Every time we want to add a counter, I have to go and add it to Volta libgo, bump up the version, and then I can use it. If that's the feedback that we start seeing, then maybe we change course. But I think, at least in my opinion, I think we could start off keeping things in a centralized place. That's the idea why I thought we keep it in one location.
I see. Yeah, okay. And initially, so for all of the Volta components, we should introduce some counters, right? Like you said, number of discoveries, etc.
Yeah.
So, for example, if we think of discovery count, so probably the OLT adapter would serve those counters, right?
Yes. So Jay, if you could just go back to the path set once again and go to the stats.go. Maybe this is something that we could discuss. So I don't have any convention, but sorry, I don't have any strong rules for that. But the way I was trying to look at it is, if you see, there's a comment saying that OLT device stats, right? So this would be statistics for a OLT device, which typically would be raised by the OLT adapter. And then you have ONT or ONU device stats, which would be raised by the ONU adapter. Right now, I don't have any counters there. Would be looking forward to our colleagues who are working on the adapter to come up with a big set of counters there. And then we have, I've also put something non-device specific stats, right? For example, when you're writing to the bus, doesn't matter, right? We're writing for OLT1 or OLT2, right? It's irrespective of that. So the places where the processing is independent of a specific device, right? And we don't want to attribute the failure or the counter to a device, those kind of stats. So I've just using some convention, right? Tried to put them in different categories, right? And similarly, the durations, some of the durations could be captured by vCore, some of the durations could be captured by the OLT adapter, right? So different discovery proc time, right? Yes, this will be done by the OLT adapter. For example, if we want to count, okay, typically how much time does it take to do the MIB upload, right? We could have a duration for that, and which would be done by the ONU adapter. Something which are not again device specific is, okay, how much time are we spending to write to HCD, right? Or to the database, right? So it could be a DB write time, DB read time, right? And this could be used by all the three, because all the three OpenOLT adapter, OpenONU adapter, and vCore are writing to the database, right? And I would think that these things really come in handy when we want to see how the service is performing when we try to scale it or under load situations, right? Which are the things that are pulling it down? Is it the database which is becoming a bottleneck, or is it the Kafka, or is it like we need to have more routines inside the adapter? So I think that they could help us figure out a lot, give us a lot of insight into what's happening within the system.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
Amit, I think we shortly discussed about the newly introduced OMCI counters at ONU could be candidates for this collection via Prometheus, right?
Yes, I think we should put them. But Holger, the other thing that I was thinking about is, although this sounds okay, right? But I think we should be a little cognizant of the fact when we try to add per ONU device counters, because in a typical deployment, you could have hundreds of thousands of ONUs. And these counters would take up space, right? Because along with each counter, you have the label associated with the device ID, with label for the device ID and the serial number as well, right? So we might have to keep that in mind as to how much space each counter or each time metric takes. And specifically for the ONU devices, we might have to be a little stingy so that we just don't bump up too much of space requirement. But definitely for the use case that we already did talk about in the dispatch set, right? You wanted a persistent storage to store the counters, and I think this should help, right? Because it will be available. If Prometheus picks it up, then it goes down, it goes into the Prometheus DB, and if that is persistent, that's up to the operator to decide, then it stays.
Yeah, it's clear, but actually these counters only make sense if they are collected per ONU device, but I understand that that would exceed the amount of counters to be collected.
Yeah.
But,
so I'm not saying that we should not collect counters per ONU device, but what I'm saying is that we need to be a little stingy and not introduce too many of them. Right? Yeah. The ones that we think absolutely are necessary, yes, we do collect them.
Yeah. For example, timeouts or retries regarding OMCI communication.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, definitely the error ones we would want to count, definitely.
We already pushed those counters into the Kafka, right? OLT counters, ONU counters. I believe OLT counters are collected per 5 minutes or so. I'm not sure.
Sorry, I'm missing that one. Which ones are you talking about?
We already collect those kinds of counters, OMCI counters. I'm not sure about the OMCI counters, but I know the OLT counters are collected and pushed into the Kafka bus. So OMC counters should go to Kafka bus, and if operator wants to collect those, then it can get from the Kafka bus.
Actually, do you mean the OpenCI counter collected in the OLT, right?
I'm not sure about the OMCI counters, by the way. I'm just saying an example.
Yeah. But
Because-
the specialty
So
of this new counter is that is quality per ONU, and you see also if there's retries, as I said, or timeouts, and these counters are currently only available via the vault control command which has been inserted lately. No, you know.
Yeah, you're right.
yeah, so second, I think you're talking about the packet counters, right?
Yes,
The number of
for
TX
example.
packets, RX packets, and packets with errors and different packet sizes. Yeah, those are the PM counters, and I think that should and would remain in the Kafka bus. Yes. Yeah, so that's all I had to talk about this one. So please, I request all of you to please provide your thoughts and comments on what are the other counters or metrics, time-based metrics that we would want to add in there. So I'll be happy to discuss on them and take those in the first batch set itself. Doesn't mean that we can't add them in the future, right? We can always, once this is reviewed and merged, you could always go ahead and introduce the new ones that you want. Then create a new version.
Thanks for the
So,
patch.
yeah, so I would suggest that we keep this review open till the next TST meeting and look into all the review comments and suggestions, and then think about a merge next week. Okay, so if no further comments on this, then maybe I move to the next one. So Joey, I'll take the next one as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is regarding ONF presence that's going to be in the BBWF meet happening in the week of October 18th. And this is happening in Amsterdam for 3 days, and ONF is going to be there with a booth. So it's just a shout out to the group here. If you have any suggestions or things that you think should be highlighted, you could talk about it right away or send it in an email or put it in the Slack, whatever communication suits you.
Amit,
yeah.
Does anyone have a description of the demo that is taking place in the broadband forum booth? I know there's a number of participating companies. All I know is that it's a cloud CO type of demo, but I have not been able to get the details as yet as to what is being demonstrated in the broadband forum booth. Who should I contact? I've talked to Craig Thomas at Broadband Forum, but he's not taking the lead on coordinating this. Do you know who the best person is to, or does anyone know who the best person is to coordinate with?
Yeah, so I was part of some of the meetings that were happening for organizing this. So some of this information should be available in the BBF wiki pages. I'll try to dig that out, or at least if I don't find that, I will at least try to point you to folks who can answer your questions or provide you with some documentation.
All right, that would be fantastic. I appreciate it.
Yep.
And ONF will also have a stand at the Network X event. And we will be hosting a community demo of SIBA VOLTHA along with DT and Radisys and Netsia. So we're not doing live demos. It will be slideware. We're not bringing equipment to the show, but we will be hosting a stand on the floor. So wanted to make sure everyone was aware of that as well. If there is anyone who is planning to attend Network X and needs a pass, shoot me an email and I can help you out with that as well. Okay. Oh, one more thing. I'm sorry, I almost missed it. The other thing that ONF is hosting at this event is a workshop. It will be a broadband workshop, and it will be, community members again participating in that workshop. We are already working with a number of folks who will be participating alongside with us. So let's see, Netsia, Radisys, Reply, Zeitzel, all of those will be folks from the VOLTHA community who will be speaking at the workshop, along with DT and Turk Telecom from the operator side. So just wanted to make you aware of that as well. Okay, that's everything.
Thanks, Denise.
Sure.
Okay, well, so we only have 2 more entries. This one looks related to the VOLTHA control command.
I
Did somebody have?
can chime in for that.
Sure. Okay.
So I realized that while testing the VOLTCTL doesn't support setting logs for multiple VOLTA stacks. I am thinking it's a bug, but I am not sure. So I wanted to discuss with you. So normally, while using VOLTCTL, you can change the stacks. So if you want to use the VOLTA-2 stack, you can use the command VOLTCTL stack use VOLTA-2. But the log data configuration is in the KV store, and to access that data, you need the KV store data path prefix as an environment variable. And it's always pointing the VOLTA-1 data. So I believe it's a bug. Do you have anybody have any experience on that?
Not me. I have not heard anyone trying out this one, the log configuration with multiple stacks. So maybe you're the first one to try it out, Saket.
Okay, so those KV store data path prefix environment variable is read in the VOLTA-lib go. So the one solution for that, changing those code piece in the VOLTA-lib go, but it probably needs updates in the VOLTA OpenOLT, RW core, and the ONU adapter codes. The other solution might be overriding those environment variable via the VOLTCTL code. So I'm not sure which one is better. So in Turk Telecom, normally we deploy different VOLTCTL pods for different stacks. That is why we didn't see that issue before. But now we want to use only one VOLTCTL pod, and we can override that KV store data path prefix by the VOLTCTL because it's already in a container. But I'm not sure about the others. If somebody uses VOLTCTL as an executable onto a machine, then changing the environment variable via the VOLTCTL might be a problem. So any preference for that? Any comments?
Yeah, second, I'm just trying to think. VOLTCTL as a command line tool, right? As in, why would it need to directly look inside the KB store. As in, I understand that the log info is stored in there, but I don't know, this doesn't sound
Yeah,
very
because
intuitive to me, because that's an implementation detail, right?
Mhm. Yeah,
And
you're
a
you're
command
also
line.
right. Volta API doesn't provide an API for log level settings. That's why it directly connects to the KB store.
Yeah. So I think as in a cleaner solution would be to have vCore providing those APIs.
Mm. The same thing happens for the technology profile insertion. You know, the outside of Volta, you have to insert the technology profiles into the KB store directly. So I think opening an API both for this log configuration and also for the technology profile would be better solutions.
Yes, but I remember the technology profile discussion, at least what I can recall is that it was a conscious decision to keep it outside of the vCore because vCore did not want to deal with anything to do with technology profiles.
Yes,
Saying
we
that
did.
it's agnostic of the technology profile, right? And that's why a decision was made to let adapters and the operator components were pushing in the tech profile know about it and deal with it. But I think the log levels are something which is something that is inherent to Volta, right? It's not something that Volta wants to be transparent about.
I remember we decided that, okay, RW core doesn't deal with the technology profiles, but the only duty of RW core would be just inserting into the KB store transparently. Will not check anything in the technology profile, doesn't control any parameter, just insert into the KB store. I remember that was our decision on that discussion, but not sure, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, I think we can revisit this one at least. We can take one by one, right? And first revisit the log configuration thing, and if we feel that an API on vCore would be a cleaner solution and hopefully not that expensive in terms of resources that we need to put in to get it implemented, maybe we should go that way.
Yeah.
So I think we need to weigh in the effort that goes in versus what we achieve, right? And see if it's the right time to go in for that. Or as you suggested, right, you would override the variable within the container that is accessing it.
Okay, I'll open a ticket for that one.
Yeah, I think we should. Yeah, I think we should have both the solutions and have a short discussion on which way to go. Right, weighing in the pros and cons.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
Okay, let's see. So for the last item, that, that we scheduled, this is just an update on the Volta scale hardware that mentioned last TST meeting. We have a rack-mounted system that has 2 enclosures in it with 8 HP blades in it, and that's some of the jobs that run in the Volta scale Jenkins view use that hardware for testing. So the enclosures were pulled out of the rack, all of the blades were physically removed from the box and plugged back into it and put back into the rack. Since we've done that, there are a couple of problems that showed up. Only 3 devices are being recognized now. They've had IP addresses allocated, but we can't SSH into the machine or into the 3 addresses that were allocated. So I'm still poking away at that. And the work was done on Monday rather than last Friday. So we're just starting to look into problems now. But that's an update for that right now.
Joey, are these
Mhm.
in the Colo here in Santa Clara?
This is, where are these
Where
things?
are they?
Garish. Sure, I'm trying to remember where they are.
This is a Radisys site at Hillsborough.
Yes.
Sorry, could you repeat that, Girish?
It's at Hillsborough, Radisys.
Yep.
Oh, okay, gotcha. In
Mhm.
Oregon, got it. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I guess that's it for the last agenda item. Does anybody have, the floor is open if anybody wants to add anything? And I guess from the quiet, that's probably a wrap for us for this week. So thanks for everybody for joining, and I will have the video recording up on YouTube here shortly.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thanks all. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Yep.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks, bye-bye.